morning, everyone. It is 9 o'clock, and Brian has a ton of content to go over today. So I know that we will have people continuing to join, but wanted to go ahead and introduce Brian so he can start talking to all of us who are here on time this morning. Brian is our broker relations manager and the guru of anything relative to Matrix or MLS or any of the tools that are offered at Canopy. And we are glad to have him this morning, and he's going to share a number of topics. So pay attention and listen up, because these are things that you can use in your everyday business. Also, just so you know, it's being recorded. So if you missed something, you can easily go back and watch it at a later date. So take it over, Brian. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Tiffany. And share this with your agents and your offices as well. Let them know that we do training on all these topics so they can come to us and get more on this also. So thanks for having me today. I've got 4 things that I really want to focus on really quickly that are kind of just quick things that you can implement today and kind of pass along. The first one is going to be converting your current or your new auto emails to text messaging as opposed to emailing. Now, I shouldn't say opposed to, I should say in addition to, because there's right now not an opportunity to do one or the other. Your only option to do one would be email, but if you want to implement the text messaging, it will be in addition. So just a couple ways to do this. If you have a search running already within a contact, an auto email, you can go into it and you can go into the settings. And you'll see there is an opt-in for text messaging. Now that's only going to show up if the box is checked, okay, for text messaging. So when that is checked on any auto email or any email that's sent from Matrix, you're going to get that opt-in. That's going to send an email to the email address that's on record for that client. They will then provide the phone number that will be receiving the text message. So they do all the work on their end. The agent will then get a notification that they've opted in. And of course, as long as that box is checked, they will get a text message and also an email. Now, to know whether someone's opted in, if you don't get the message or you missed the alert, if you go back to your contact, on his main record, you're going to see, let me find one that actually is opted in. I know I have one here. It's the first one. Oh, let me go back here. You're going to see a phone number that has a check mark next to it. We'll find them here. There it is, back one. So their phone number will have a check next to it. That implies that they've opted in to the text messaging feature. They can opt out just like anything else, and that will disappear from there if they do. So that is how you would do it if you've got one existing. Now, if you're doing a new one, it's really easy. You set up your search. Again, kind of the same thing. Let me go find one that has some properties. Here we go. And you're going to do a save and a new auto email or email listings. You're again going to check the box. It's going to open up the opt-in once I select the contact, so I can send them a opt-in as well. So whichever way. There is a video also available in our help desk or support that will walk you through what the client is actually going to see, so you can kind of verse yourself at, oh, they're going to receive that email, they're going to get a text message, so that if they don't get it, you know, hey, if there was a break in the communication, you can reach out to us, we can figure out what's going on with it. But there's an article that you can prepare them for what to expect, and you can even share that with them. There's a video for it as well in our knowledge base. All right, so that's texting your results, either auto email or regular email. The next thing I want to talk about is Remine. Some of you may be using Remine. We're going to talk about one sort of aspect of Remine to use for farming or to capturing people that you want to communicate with based on some metrics that are either criteria-based or map-based, which I think most people are preferring is the map-based criteria, because it gives you a visual, and especially in these neighborhoods that you know really well. You know parcels and you know areas and you know what houses are where. So putting a layer on the map, like how much home equity someone has, is a really helpful tool to help you with farming. So I can see, who has the most. I can also filter this out by, well, I want to find the ones that have this much. And I can say those are the ones I want to save. Now there's a feature in here called carts, and this is how you would organize yourself. So once you've started a campaign, whether it's finding people that are, have specific home equity or they have specific ownership time, that's another one you can add. You can easily add those layers. and then pick the options that you want. And that can also become criteria where you can then find or save properties that have those specific information. And most of this is public record based. So this is stuff that you would have gone to like a realist to use, and you would have looked at, in data, but now they have this map layer that really gives you a nice idea of that area and where you need to be focusing your energy and your efforts and your money. Now, they do have this magic, what's called the self score, and you've probably heard of it. It is and a lot of products have it. Basically, it's the indication of whether the properties are more likely or less likely to sell than their neighbors in the next 6 months. So their neighbors is kind of a vague, it's not going to be the neighborhood always. It could be a zip code, but they're using algorithmic data to determine all these things, like how much home equity they have, like what's their ownership time, like the absentee ownership status. So all these things that we can see individually all filter into what's called the self score. So all that data that you would have had to look at individually, piece by piece, sort in an Excel spreadsheet, is now showing itself on the map in the form of the self score. So imagine, you doing all the work and determining these were the ones based on my analysis that I need to really reach out to quickly, because the data says that they are right for the pick, and the green ones. And you can see that's the high self score there. Okay. And then you've got the mediums, of course. On mine, you might not be able to tell with my shared screen, but there are some mediums in here. That's a medium right there. If you can see my mouse, if you can see the difference in the blues, there's a blue and a purple. The lows are the purples. So most everybody is low. Now, here's a flaw in the old farming way. If you only looked at property information, you didn't know what was going on the side of the individual. That happens in public records. Good or bad, those things affect home ownership and likelihood for somebody to sell their home. Divorce, children being born, right? Marriage, all those things happen in public records and are tied to an owner of a property. And if they're an owner of a property and they get married, it may be that, it's a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom home, they need to upsize. So that might indicate that they're going to likely jump up in that sell score. And that's something we wouldn't see here on the left-hand side, because this is all related to a property, not to the person. So remember that there's other things working behind the scenes that are helping you not only look at the property situation, but also look at the people in that property and what their situation is, where they're moving, vertically or up or down or whatever. You've got all that data behind you as well. Now you have to trust the system. They're not going to tell you their methodology, right? You can probably guess some of it. Again, I'm sure someone that's been in their home longer may increase a sell score, right? But at some point there may be data that says, hey, the longer they stay, the less likely they might be wanting to sell. So the data has to, you have to trust it. It's been gathered and captured for years and years and years. And there are patterns to it. And this is how they can determine, based on those past patterns, which ones of these would be the best ones to approach, right? There's not a 100% guarantee, but these would be, saving yourself a lot of time and really focusing on the ones that are the targets. Might be, easier than trying to just throw a net over the neighborhood, over, homes that maybe the guy's only been there for 2 years, or the family's only been there for, 6 months, or maybe they just bought yesterday. So we want to make sure that we're targeting the right ones. Now, with this, what we would want to do is take these properties that are high sell scores and throw them into a cart. And so you can see, I just clicked on that one right there, and it's this one. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw it in a cart, and what it'll ask me is, which cart do you want to put that in? Okay, so if I've got a project that I'm working a specific neighborhood or a certain part of town, I'm going to create a cart. So I'm going to give it a name, or I'm going to put it in a cart that I already have. Maybe I'm putting this along with some other things. So maybe we'll call this high sell, and that was sort of Myers Park, so we'll call it that. We're going to create that cart, and then that listing will be added to it. And so I can now have that as a cart that I can load with listings that maybe have that high sell score in that region. So I could go and maybe pick on this one and throw that one in there. That's a multiple parcel cart. So that one would be a little bit more confusing. You'd have to go at all the units on that one probably, and then find the unit that might be potentially, I don't know if that's the whole building or the unit, one unit in that, but it does have a high sell score. So you could add the whole thing to the cart. You could also go to the individual units and add them to carts as well. So I'll just go ahead and add that to that one. And so I can continue to do that. If I'm looking at a, go ahead.
I have a quick question. How often does this data update?
So, public records, I would guess the frequency is just like any other public database. So I'm sure Mecklenburg County probably has as close to a direct feed to them as anybody would,
Okay.
because they're just, it's FTP or whatever the technology is now, and then some places have to send their data over in a CSV so that they can upload it. I'm guessing in more metropolitan area, this is going to be a little more accurate, a little more timely, but that's a good question to know, how current is that last transaction? Because that last transaction could dump that from a high sell score to a low because they just moved in, and we may not see that yet. So that's a great point. So it is something that you are going to have to perpetually go back to. And remember, things fall out of favor quickly. Like I've seen properties go from a high sell score to a low sell score, and you'll see that on your homepage on your daily in a day. Like it literally goes from high to low. It doesn't even go to the medium. It just goes right to low for whatever reason. So the daily here is going to let you know what is in your carts and what's happening to them. So you can see here, these are all the things that I have in carts in the property notifications right here. And so most of the things that are going to happen, you're not going to see a lot of changes in sell score. Don't think that you're going to see that every day. But what you will see here is things like things going into different statuses. There's a rental, there's an under contract, there's a price change. So you're going to see a lot of MLS stuff, but you're also going to see that public record stuff, like the deed changed, price change, a lot of MLS change. Okay, but again, public record change as well. I'm trying to find one that is at least just a public records one so you can see that. There's a deed, there's one, deed information is updated. So anything that happens is going to pop here. The idea here is to look at these, click on the ones that you want to view. If it's something that maybe happened that maybe would require you to remove it from a cart, you could do that. And then once you've looked at everything here, I would recommend to clear everything, because that way, when you come back, everything you see is new changes, right? So review them all, throw the ones in the carts or out of the carts or move them to another cart, because it could have, gone from a high sales score to a medium and still tracking those. So I want to just pop it into another cart. So those are going to be there. But again, clear them out so everything you see is new.
One more question.
Yes.
Is there a way to automatically schedule the properties so that if they change statuses, they go into or out of your carts, or do you have to do it manually?
You have to do it manually. There is so Remine is actually about to launch in an MLS as a standalone MLS. So they do have some auto email features to them, but not related to that, because that's more of an agent like farming tool. So, but there are ways to save searches and automate those to clients if you want. We don't generally, we always like to really focus on Matrix as the center of that, because it is our MLS, but there are those features here as well.
Cool.
Yep. Let me just go over here to carts real quick. So once you have those carts, you're going to be able to go to them. You're going to be able to open them up, see them. You can export the data from there. So if you would just want to do an Excel spreadsheet and then do a mail merge, you can do mailers from a mail house that Remine contracts with. I think they discount for you all. I'm guessing Remax probably has something similar that you could export data to and send up to them as well. And then you also have just the quick and easy print mailing labels from that. So I think the great thing about this is if you keep an eye on it, it may only be 2 or 3 properties a day instead of, a big, 100 home campaign that I got to put together. And it's a lot of work. And, this could be something that you do just throw into your daily work. Hey, I found 2 new high sell scores. Let me just handwrite a letter real quick. You might not even use the label, because handwriting is always better, right? And if you only had to do 2 or 3 every day instead of, wait until there's 100, handwriting becomes kind of impossible. So, or not fun anyway. So that's a way to use that as well. All your carts are here. You can go in and open up properties. You can move them into other places. You can remove them from carts. So I can just take them out of here if I wanted to. I could add them to another one. So maybe this property suits 2 purposes, right? So I could add it to a different cart. So now it's in 2 carts, add it, and you'll see that it now tells me that it's in both of those carts.
Bryan, we have another question.
Yep.
Does Remine have the ability to target houses based on features? Like, for example, if they had a pool?
So yes and no. Let's go over to the search. So remember, a lot of the stuff we're seeing here is public data. So inconsistencies are going to be at a high level, right? Because we just know that a lot of times things aren't complete, they don't get recorded, whatever. But there is in the advanced searching area. So if you're searching, obviously you can use all these things on the left to search. You can search by an address, by a city. but you can also go to the criteria, which is going to be things like listing features and property features. And what I want to show you is, I think they have a keyword search. Let me find it. And this one may also have a pool. Anybody see a pool there? There it is right there. There's your pool. This one, oh, they've got a lot of stuff. So actually this one, I know RPR has a keyword search. They do not. So you would have to rely on that pool thing. But remember, that's not pulled from the MLS. That's the only warning I would give on that one. It's not pulled from the MLS. It's, you know, we're relying on it being recorded at the public records. So in-ground pools are probably pretty consistent. You know, maybe at above ground, or I don't know, that might not get recorded. Tax records might not ever know that one, but that's gonna be your best option. And again, because it is mainly a public records database, because we have every parcel here. It's not just what's in MLS. With MLS, we can make, you know, we can tell you, hey, you've got to provide more. We got to be consistent about it. We got to have compliance around it. Unfortunately, the counties have zero compliance. So, but that would be your way. And so you can use that. You can also, oh, and if the map thing really is hard for you, maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe you like criteria better. Here's all your filters that we had before, just in like regular filter form. So I could go here and say, give me the, where's the high sell score? High sell score. And then I could apply that as criteria. And then I will go ahead and go back to my results or my map of my results. And so I just use that as criteria in a standard criteria way rather than in the map based way. So that is Remine. Any other questions about that one? I'll watch the questions here. Sorry about that. Okay, cool. Next is, new product. So we just launched on June 1st. And I'm gonna switch screens here. We just launched on June 1st. Gotta find that one now. I know it's here. There it is. ListTrac, which allows an agent and a brokerage to share, look at the activity that their listings are receiving on the internet. So this would be an example of an agent that has listings in the MLS. And this is the dashboard of their ListTrac product. Oh, sorry, let me go show you where it is. It's on your dashboard from Matrix. So right there's ListTrac. And it does log you in, and it does immediately know what your listings are. So it knows who you are and loads your listings for you. So what you're seeing here is just an overall count of this agent's views on these different platforms. And you're going to see here in the last 30 days, and you can customize that if you like. And you can see MLS views and Realtor.com views and Truly and IDX and so on. So that's just going to be a 30-day window of all the listings that this agent has in the MLS that are active and under contract. Now, if the channel has multiple places that it might send, like MLS, for example, MLS is split between two things. It's the MLS system, Matrix. It's also the One Home Portal, which is the consumer side of that. So you can see, he's gotten 24 views in MLS. He's gotten 15,000 views in One Home by consumers. And now what are views? Views are defined as a listing being opened in full detail. It's not enough for it to show up in a list. It has to be opened for a further view. And so to shortcut this, everything we see here is going to have a graph or a chart related to channels that listings can be sent to. Inquiries are defined as someone asking for more information. So that might be a form where they're providing their email address to the website that's going back to an agent, going through a lead generation system. But it's just an inquiry. They were asking for more information. And so this will, again, give numbers. These obviously won't grow like the views grow, but you will see those there. You're also going to see visitors. Visitors are mirroring views, but over a day-by-day basis over the channels that are listed. You can see here the channels below. You can actually highlight a specific channel if you want to focus on one of them. You can also remove all channels that you don't want to view. And this would be important if you were going to report this to a consumer and you didn't want to include certain channels, you could do that. Of course, you've got that interactability, being able to hover over the graph to see the hits for a specific day. This might help you determine what something you did might have helped the listing at some point on some platform when you see peaks and valleys. You know, what might have happened that day, or how long has it been out there, and do I need to make a change potentially? And what's working for me? You know, what channels are seeming to work better for me? It's not always about count. It's sometimes about stability too. All right, then we've got a performance metric. This is going to be the top 10 listings by this agent, so they can actually see individually what their listings are receiving as far as hits, and they can click on an individual listing and visit a report on that listing. So now this is that particular listing, and it's going to show them obviously views compared to average views for similar homes. Here's their total views, inquiries. There's also a favorites counter. This would be favoriting on like one home, favoriting on a national portal. If your website has a save or a favorite feature, that'll count that as well. And then shares is one on this one. So this one actually had a share from a share mechanism from a website where that listing was displaying. Views compared to average listings. You can see this listing, 5580, average listings in the market, 3884. That can be massaged at the top by clicking on manage similar homes and refining the criteria here. So you'll be able to see what the criteria actually is if you use the auto selection. So this is what it's set up as: 1 bedroom or more on the subject, number of bathrooms, 1 or more, 1 or less, square footage 30% up or down, 30% on the list price, and 1 mile away. So if you wanted to change these auto select, maybe you wanted to do, I don't know, 2, you could change that, and it will change the properties that it brings into the similar properties and may change that number. You could also do specific MLS numbers. If you knew numbers that were comparable in your market and you wanted to compare them to your particular listing, you could put that in and it'll give you the number of views for those only as an average. If you just want to compare one, it would just be 1. You could also do a combination. You could say, let the system find things, but I also have some that I definitely want to make sure that are included. So that would be combine auto and manual selection. And then you can also just not include similar listings if you don't want to. It's up to you. So you can dictate what similar listings. Now I want to scroll down past this really quickly because I want to show you that it will actually show you the listings that, and it only found 1. So that's the one that it's comparing it to. So you know the address of it. Sometimes it'll have 3 or 4 if it finds them. If you need more, again, go back and massage that criteria a little bit. You're also going to see, again, your visitors day over day for that one listing, just like we saw on his full inventory. You're also going to have a heat map. We're going to see that on his full inventory as well, but I wanted to bring you to this. So this is going to show you where those hits are actually coming from. And so obviously most of it's concentrated here in North Carolina, but you see some green here in Tennessee. I believe I see some green over here in Arizona. That might be the map green, but I do see some green here in the Northeast. So we are getting some hits from outside of the region, and we can actually click on the list here on the right, and we can see where those are coming from. So if I go far enough down in the list, maybe only there's Tennessee, South Carolina, Ohio. So we're seeing where these hits are coming from based on the IP address of the viewer. And then we've got the similar homes. We've got the inquiries. Again, nothing to report there. There's the favorites. So you can see where those favorites were made. Okay, this would be carts in MLS or in one home, depending. We also have IDX saves there, and then shares. There's that 1 share. And that was done through IDX, and shares for similar. So 1 and 1.
Is there a way for a team lead to see all of their team's listings in one place?
So only the broker in charge has the ability to see agents in their group. But you know what? That begs the question, because I haven't seen a team identified here. I don't think we have them in here yet. I will ask and I'll report back to y'all on what the plan is for that, because that has to be, on the drawing board for teams. But currently, no, only a broker in charge. Let's see. Okay, so any property can be viewed. So once they get into one property over here on the left, you can see all the listings, and they can go and click on another one, and they can see the report for that one. So once they're in one listing, they can click to the rest of their listings. Now I'm going to show you all real quickly in a minute how to schedule a report, but I just want to go back to the dashboard and just show you, just finish up there with the rest of the little widgets. So there's our heat map for his entire inventory. There's going to be the saved listings. There's going to be the shares. Those are all total again. So 4 shares across all of his listings. And then this is a really great one. This is going to show the agent either by price range, by number of bedrooms, or by property type, where they're getting the most views or the most inquiries. So by price range, his hottest price range views wise is the 200 to 300,000. By number of bedrooms, it's the 3-bedroom homes followed by the 4-bedroom homes. And then we can also do it by property type. Of course, most of the time this can be mostly residential, but also we've got the lots and townhomes and acreage and condominium breakouts as well. Again, this is all views. And you can also toggle over to inquiries, which again, this one doesn't have any inquiries, so nothing to report there. All right, last thing on this one, I'm going to open up a listing. Okay, so we want to share a report of this listing with our consumer, our seller specifically. It's called a seller report. And so what we want to do is we want to schedule it, okay, or we just want to preview it and share it. Before you do that, I would recommend that you go over to the right and set up your report options. This is where you're going to set up your brand, including your agent profile, your brand information. When you add your logo, it should automatically change the colors, but it does allow you to input the RGBs there. And then you can also exclude specific websites if you want. If there are sites you don't want to report on, you can move them over to the excluded side and not include those in the report. Okay, once the report is customized, you can preview the report here. This is what it looks like. So this is what the seller will get. A lot of the stuff we saw. And they also have a dedicated page to their listing. So when they get it, they click on view more stats for the listing. It's going to take them to a page where they're only going to get to look at their listing, but like you do in the interactive site. So they can see the up-to-date views. So if they got the report a week ago, there may be more views to see. And they can also see where the views are coming from. They can see all that info. They can see the heat map, all that, but it's just their listing. You can't toggle to any of your other listings or any other listing, just theirs. So the way you share this is one of two ways. You can either copy the link to a clipboard and you can share it via an email. You could download a PDF and print it or share that PDF. But what we would recommend is schedule the report so it delivers to them automatically. So first you're going to pick who it's from. Okay. To the question about teams, I do know that there are some matchup of teams or partners in the report set on behalf of. So if the person maybe, I'm not sure that implies that someone can log in and see that though. I would definitely test that on a team to see if that is an option. But we'll check into that too. So you're going to put in your seller's name, email, CCBCC, reply to, that's the email address we have on record for you. Do we want to copy ourselves? You can see it in the system. I don't know that I would. And then the message is going to be pre-created and the subject will be based on what frequency you've selected for the delivery. So right now, this is just sales activity on your property. Right now, automatic delivery is turned off. So if you just wanted to send the report one time, you would just check the box here and pick the time and the date that you want to send it. The default is about 10 minutes out from the current time. So basically it's saying if you save this now, it'll send it to them. They should get it in about 10 minutes. What you can also do is a sort of a combination. Maybe you want to send it now, but you also want to set up your weekly or your bi-weekly frequency. You can go ahead and set that up and then save it. And then it'll send today and then also start sending on Monday next week. Or if it's bi-weekly, it'll be the next bi-weekly Monday that comes. Weekly is Monday. Bi-weekly is Monday, monthly is the first of the month. So whatever you select, those are set days. Again, Mondays or the first of the month. You can also include the lead metrics are shares, favorites, and inquiries. So as we saw, those don't come up a lot. Those aren't ones that we see a lot of. So it may not be something that changes a lot. So what we want to do is allow you to say, okay, I don't want to see the lead metrics all the time, because they're not always going to show up. And, I don't want to, put something out there with 0 constantly. So I want to make sure that something happens for that to show up. So you can set a threshold. And I would just say set it at 1. That way, every thing that happens will show up on a report. You could just say always include. So that would be just blindly always include, even if there's nothing to show. That would be the same as selecting 0 from here or leaving that on 0 or nothing. And then also never include lead metrics, meaning don't include shares, favorites, or inquiries. Maybe that's something as an agent you want to keep your eye on. You just want them to see the views. We're just going to save that. It's going to set up the automation. It's going to send the initial report immediately, or again, within the next 10 minutes. And this is going to deliver it every Monday. And so I'm set up with that. So now what I can do is I can go into my listings over here on the left, the first listings header, and I can see all my listings in a list. And I can see the one that has the seller report being delivered. So that one right there is being delivered, scheduled weekly. It's on an active listing. Notice these are actives and pendings under contracts. We can go and view the online and analytics anytime. This would be a live right now view. So if I want to go look at it to see how it's changed, I could do that. I could also go and view that seller's report and share it. Again, this one's delivering automatically, so no need to do that. But I can also go in and modify that, change it, change the frequency, change who's receiving it, add somebody to it, stop getting copies myself. I can also stop the delivery right here, and that will stop that delivery immediately. Also, remember, when listings come in to active, they will automatically be included in ListTrac. You don't need to do anything. And when listings go off market, so that would be withdrawn, sold, or expired, they will also come out of ListTrac automatically. So you don't need to do anything. The delivery of the report will stop when the listing no longer exists in here. So it just kind of does its thing. The only thing you have to do is decide to how you want to deliver that report to your client, whether it's automatically or just as you wish through the view and share option. So that is ListTrac. Oh, sorry, one more thing. Seller report history. I don't know if it'll be here. I mean, I sent one earlier. This will give you a history of the reports. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so maybe this is the one I sent yesterday. That's the one I sent a couple days ago. So you can see here the listing sent to, if you copied anybody, you can go view the report there live. Delivery status says open, so the consumer viewed it. It means they opened up that portal and when you created it. So the one I just created will show up here within the next 10 or so minutes and get delivered to that client as well. So that is ListTrac. Any questions about that? All right. And then last but not least, I just want to report on the changes that we've made with SAM. So let me do another share here real quick. Go to a different place. I'm all confused now. There we go. Share. SAM. Okay. And also talk about some changes that are coming, and also something I would recommend that you always point your agents to as a default, as opposed to SAM, because SAM does require work. So the idea with SAM is that you can dig down to things like neighborhoods or complexes or something smaller than an MSA or a city. So we have all the locations that would be tied to a listing that you can do metrics on. But we already have reports on things like cities, things like MSAs that are already created that you don't have to create again. So I'm going to show you the changes we made in SAM, but then I'm going to move over to the fast stats and just show some on-demand reports that are really easy to download. And we find that people get habitual about these and they start sharing them and getting them every month. So and give them something easy. It's just a download of a PDF and posting it wherever they want. So the changes that were made in SAM. First of all, with our conversion in February, we broke out condo and townhomes. So now you can report on either or both still, so you can combine them, right? But what's cool about having them separate is you can use the breakout feature. So if you've never used the breakout feature, this is going to take both of those property types and break them out so you can actually look at condo, townhouse combined. So that might help you with explaining what the difference is and why there might be a price difference in a condo and a townhome and they're not the same, right? So this is an opportunity for you to break those out and really statistically report on them accurately instead of grouping them all together like we used to. So that's one change. Another change is we added over here, year built as a variable. This has been something that our members have been asking for since basically we launched SAM. We finally got it. This is also a customizable field, so you don't have to stick with the 10-year ranges that are there. You can create your own if something else works better for you on those. And otherwise, Sam didn't really change. I think that because the new data structure, I think it's going to be a little more accurate. I think it's more pointed to the right data now. Sometimes there were discrepancies because there wasn't exact data, and we sometimes had to just guess that what was said on the listing was what bin it was put in. But I think with the new RESO standard, I think everything's really organized and really fits nicely, and it's been, so the statistics, of course, follow to be more accurate as well. So we are about to launch, for those that use our canned reports in the fast stats, 13 new local markets. So how many people, show of hands, virtual or on the screen, use the local market updates? I'm going to show you one. Okay. So here's what we have right now. Here are the locations that we have. We're about to add 13 more. Okay. And I know, let me just think of some of them. I know Belmont, Indian Trail, Mint Hill. I can't think of all 13. We're adding 13 new local markets. Okay. So we're going to be adding some here. So let's just say my local market today is going to be Concord. Okay. So just whatever your local market is, you're going to find the report you want. Most recent is April. We should see May's shortly. And we view the report. This is a one pager that has every key metric you'd want. And it was literally 2 clicks. So every one of those local markets, you can get a one pager like this. That gives you April's numbers and also year over year numbers on all the key metrics that you can run in SAM. So this is why I always say, you know, it's great to be able to go down to a neighborhood, but if the city or the county works, you've got a report already. It's when you want to dig into the neighborhood that you're going to go into SAM and really dig and create these same metrics, right? But you're going to have to put a report together. This is already consolidated and put together for you. So use these when you can. This should always be your first, hey, let me see if there's a local market. If not, then you move to SAM and you can start creating these data points for yourself. So again, we're going to add 13 more of those. Hopefully that'll help some of you save a little time. But again, all the key metrics, we've got the April numbers on the 4 main key metrics: new listings, closed sales, median sale price, and months of supply. On those, you also get the percentages of change year over year for April's. And then we're always going to compare the entire MLS to the region that's on the report. That's a great and our most popular reports because they are short and sweet. I do see a lot of these linked from social media posts. This one might tell a story, and the story is told within the report. So, hey, check out this report of that market. You know, maybe they're reporting on one data point, but all the rest of the data is there as well. So something you could use in social, something you could, you know, use in your monthly newsletters, whatever, to report on a specific market. And again, really easy to pull that down. It's just a PDF, not a lot of work to do. So that is the changes in SAM and the fast stats feature. Do I have 5 more minutes? Yeah.
Good going 5 more minutes. I think we do.
5 more minutes. I got a good one for you. This is one I've been teaching a lot. And this is something I actually, I've been doing this for a long time, and I discovered this not long ago. I guess I knew it existed, but I never thought about what realtors do, right? Until I saw it happen. So I just want to, and this may not be everybody, and some of you may know this, but it is kind of a hidden gem. So when you do a search and you're out there, let me just go here. And you're looking at, here we go. You're looking at properties and you want to email those listings to someone. So I know the process is you check the listings, you go to the actions, you go to the email. So here's what I discovered. And not everybody, because everybody doesn't leave notes, but what I was discovering was people were trying to configure themselves so they had a screen where they saw the MLS listings that they were going to be sending to that client, but they also had to have this, sorry, I got to share the right screen. Y'all see that, right? The email? Cool.
Yes.
So what they would do is they would go down here and they'd say, I'm just going to random number, and they go back and look at that listing, they leave a note. And then they go down to the next one, this number, note. Does that look familiar to anybody? They doing that? So on the other side of the conversation, your client's having to look at this note, go click on the link you provide to them, find that listing, and then come back to it again to find the next one, and back to it again to find the next one, right? So you're leaving notes in the wrong place. I think it's great that you leave notes here about listings, but here's a better method. When you're here on the listings, if you'll go down to your refine menu, anybody ever seen the refine menu? Okay, it's okay to be honest. Refine, and then you're going to pick the contact that this is for. So if you don't have them, create them, and then you're going to go find them. And you're going to see 3 new columns show up. The first column is, did I ever email these listings to that client before? And you can see this client received this one on the 7th, this one on the 8th, that one on the 27th of last month, and so on. So the 3 I'm going to send have not been sent yet. So that's good, right? Now, if your clients are using the property fit questionnaire on the One Home portal, you'll also see this, which is also helpful, right? Because this is going to allow you to look at these properties sorted by that property fit score. And what that implies is that their property fit preferences, there were 7 simple questions they had to answer. This one matches the best to those preferences. And it's things like, do they need a big lot? Do they need a more traditional home, or do they want something more contemporary? Do they need parking? Would parking on the street be okay? Or do they need a garage? So it's really simple preference questions like that that'll take the properties that you've given to them or that you could send to them, a second look because they match better. So this might be one, when I'm here, I might say, you know what, that's a 70% match. They've never received that before. I might go ahead and send that one too, right? But here's where the notes come in. So rather than going to my then email, I'm going to go right here and I'm going to leave the note on the listing. So I can either do it here, or I can even go into the listing itself. And I can go up here to the top and leave the note while I'm looking at all the information. Remember, I've also got tax data here, photos, and everything in the MLS while I'm leaving these notes. So I do that one, okay, leave the note. We'll just do a quick little note here, add that. And then I can either go back to my list, or I can just go to the next one. Okay, that's not one I checked, so we'll go to the next one. We're going to get back to my list and go to the next one and say, open up a note. More notes. So when I email those listings, so when I finally get ready to go email, actions email, they're going to know that there are notes on those listings. So that does 2 things. First of all, it helps me communicate the right way because the note's connected to the listing. The other thing that does is it prompts them to sign in to their One Home account, which is one of the biggest difficulties we're having right now, is getting people to take that extra step to create that relationship with you, right? So they can use the extra tools that are there, so that the portal's secure, and so that they can use things like the property fit score. They can favorite properties, they can leave you notes. Without logging in, they can't do that. And again, it's hard to get them to do that, but if you leave them a note initially, in order for them to read that note, they have to. So in your message, when you email, all you have to say now is, hey, I left some notes on some listings. Take a look. And maybe even something to the effect of, you will have to create a password for One Home, right? So it's just, and again, you're just typing just a general message. So now think about this. When you have an email message for your auto emails, you could include that as part of the standard default messaging, right? So if you start utilizing this feature of noting on listings, you can now put that as part of the, hey, here's some updated properties. And by the way, remember, there may be some notes on some listings, so take a look. Okay, so again, much easier and more, I think, a better workflow, right? Because you don't have to rely on having 2 screens open, which Matrix isn't great with anyway. It really allows you to work within the system as intended. But against that, it's really the magic on that is this. Just remember, refine, view as. Because watch this, I switch to another contact. That's that contact. That contact received all those. On the 7th, that was yesterday. I guess I sent that search to them. So I can switch contacts and it can tell me what the relationship with that contact is in regards to those listings. Look, that client got that one.
Bryan, we have some questions. Is there a way to, hang on, let me scroll up. Is there a way to add an attachment to these emails, like a CMA report or a floor plan?
No, unfortunately not. In fact, you can't even put a hyperlink in the messaging. Yeah, they like to create the links to the listings to the One Home portal. So yeah, those have to be sent separately, unfortunately.
Got it. Thank you.
And
But
then
if you
there's another-
use One Touch, you can send attachments.
But remember, attachments are only available to agents. They will not be available to consumers. So they will still have to be texted out of the One Home platform, or sorry, the Touch platform, because on the consumer side, we suppress that.
Right.
And
It's very
the reason for that is because the branding, that would be a nightmare to try to monitor branding on like attachments, up to 10 of them per listing. So it's still an agent only, but it does make it more convenient for sure if it's on mobile.
yes. If you go to One Touch, it's very easy to do, guys.
Yep. Yeah, you'll see the attachment's got a little red dot next to it. And you can open them up and you can text them, download them, whatever. Let's see. Sorry, Amanda. So that is my tip for the day. So I hope that helps some folks. Maybe think about it, a new workflow. I see Jackie nodding her head. She likes it. That's a good one. Took me a minute to discover that. So there you go. Y'all got a head start.
That is
15 years.
that's incredible, Brian. I knew you could do notes, but I didn't realize you could switch through and look at different clients to see if they also had the same. That's definitely a time saver.
Yeah, and also just to take this a step further, if your client leaves a note and you happen to be in here, it'll have a little yellow with an asterisk on it. So you'll know there's a note there that you need to read from them as well. And the same thing happens on their side too. They get an alert that says there's a new note to see. So it's very clear, you know, when that stuff happens, that collaboration is really great if it's used right. So yeah, that's a big time saver. I like that one. So what else can I share with y'all today?
We had another note from Amanda saying, how often do you do classes? And there are classes consistently throughout the month on all of the different offerings from Canopy that Brian does, as well as other instructors.
Let me show you. If you go to your dashboard, technology training, here's our current schedule. So we have oh, I need to delete these because we did a ListTrac. So but we've got some in-person stuff. We're trying that. It hasn't worked great. Oh, those actually got attended. I need to remove those. We're trying to do some in-person stuff. So just look for that. Here's what we've got coming up. So we've got a Remine Pro so that you can learn all about Remine. That's a class on just that. We got a class on searching the MLS. We got Sam. We got everything. And we try to cycle through everything once a month. There are some classes that we'll do twice a month because we have new members coming in all the time, especially the searches and displays class and the CMA classes. But just look for them there. Register. They're all virtual unless it says in person. And we also have some on-demand stuff, super compliant stuff that you can watch it whenever you want at the bottom.
Brian, thank you so much for being here today. I think everyone on here learned something, probably learned a lot, and it's something that we can easily put in our business today. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you to all the agents that are here and took the time to watch. And if you notice someone that's not on this that needs to know about it, tell them to go look for that recording that Haley will post. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Bye.